Good evening. Welcome to Coffee Talks. Indeed, it's 5:46 p.m. on Monday, November 9th, 2020. And I decided to make more coffee. I've been trying to get back on a nighttime schedule. And instead, I've been falling asleep at 8:45 every night and waking up at 6 a.m. and then going out to open mic nights and falling asleep at which is pretty funny for all of you. As for me, I end up missing the show, and I don't have time to listen back to any bootlegs right now. So, anywho, so I'm making a little bit more coffee. That's why I was delayed. It's almost done. It's like I can pour some here and start cooling down enough for me to breathe. If you pour it slow, it'll cool down faster. It's science. So, the reason I'm here tonight is because of a turn of phrase that I've caught myself employing recently. And that is, I was talking to Rachel, and I referred to me in the past as the old me. And ever since I said it the other day, I've been thinking about that guy. And so I figured I would talk about that guy and who he was and what he did and what made him memorable enough that I'm still talking about him today. And I had a bit of a realization about him today, so I'll get to that eventually. But so basically, we're talking me in starting in 2015 throughout 2016 and until about I'll call it May of 2017. Around 2015, so I'm going to start actually earlier. So in 2014, in December 2013, I moved home from Kent State University with my tail between my legs and having just lost my best friend. Not like dead, but just like he's gone. He won't talk to me. And that sucked. And so I spent like 2014 kind of rebuilding after that. And I ended up dropping out of college for a little while. And I ended up returning to working full time at my father's machine shop. And saved up some money from like January 2014 until summer 2015. And during summer of 2015, maybe it was spring 2015, I went back to school. I started doing a couple little classes. Actually, I was studying, thinking I was going to go to try to be a teacher. And so I was taking prerequisites. I was actually doing all online courses, and I ended up taking English Comp 2. And I ended up writing this essay, and this story actually deserves a whole episode on its own, so I'll summarize it really briefly. I wrote a essay that changed my life, and it was about why we should go back to the moon. And writing that essay propelled me into the mindset that, well, how do I do this? I become an engineer. How do I do that? I become an engineering student. And I switched my major to engineering. So I went in and took 2 classes the summer of 2015 as an engineering student. And I got A's in them. And then I went in for fall 2015, and I started taking all the big engineering classes. I took physics, calculus, I took chemistry. This was actually the first time I ever took chemistry. And during this time this is all at Lakeland Community College. I took their 2 physics classes. I had already taken Calc 1, so I took Calc 2. I took, my first chemistry class was elementary chem, and then I took Gen Chem 1. And I also took a couple other classes, I don't know, but I was taking tough classes, and I very suddenly became a straight A student. We're talking, I'm 23 years old, and in my entire life before that, I was a shitty student. Okay, I skipped the 2nd grade. I was, like, smart as a kid, and then I just quit giving a shit about anything around the time I got bullied in middle school. So, like, I never did any good in middle school. I got a 2.915 in high school. And then my first foray, right out of high school, I jumped into my first foray in college at Lakeland, actually, and took 1 semester of classes and dropped out. Failed Calc 1. Ended up going back again and ran out of money and dropped out. And so I've been in and out a couple of times. And never was any good. And then all of a sudden, I switched to engineering. I'm taking the hardest courses I've ever taken, and now I'm a straight A student out of nowhere. So here is where we meet the old me. That's where he was. During this time, I accomplished a lot of things that I really wanted to. I saw a lot of success in a lot of different ways. I was very satisfied, considered myself happy, which before that I had said I didn't believe in happiness. I said the United States Constitution, the United States Declaration of Independence guarantees us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because of that, a time in my life, I didn't believe in happiness. I thought you could pursue it to the ends of the earth, but you would never quite find that, I guess it's dharma, it's bliss, it's ecstasy, it's the ultimate joy. That's happiness distilled. You can't get there. You can't get to happiness distilled, but you can always pursue it. So, at this time, I suddenly thought I was happy, and I was doing well in school. I had a lot of friends. Around that time, was reading a lot of books. I'm talking, I think 2014 or 15. One of those years was like the year I started reading again. It was 2014 because I remember I went to the library and read The Gods Themselves by Isaac Asimov, which was on the shelf that day. Just one of my favorite novels ever that just opened the floodgates. I ended up reading like 12 books that year, and then like 15 books the next year, which was like I was actually the old me in like 2nd and 3rd grade, around when I skipped a grade. I was reading all the time. You just couldn't stop me reading. I knew I was cool. Okay, around that time, I read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that book influenced me a ton. And I made lots of friends. I joined my first band, Thick Kevin. So I'm playing in a band for the first time. I'm playing music more than ever, while I'm also getting straight A's in school. I end up quitting my dad's machine shop to keep going to school full time. And basically, I'm in the library 40 hours a week. And I was driven. I was working so hard, getting so much done, but I was happy doing it. I was happy poring over books for 40, 50 hours a week to get the grades I wanted. Because I was driven to succeed at a couple of things I really wanted to, namely, around this time was when Elon Musk was building Tesla up and building SpaceX up. And I saw what he was doing, and I said, I gotta work with that guy. I gotta work on the same mission as that guy. So I was really driven. I wanted to work with this guy. I still want to work with this guy. So he was a huge inspiration. I also started writing a novel during this time period, and at least 3 of the characters are him, are just different pieces of him. He has so many ventures and so many sides to his personality. He inspired 3 entirely different characters in my novel that I started working on then, and I'm still working on. I've been working on again recently. So, so this went on from like summer 2015 is when it started sparking up. And then it continued until around May of 2017. Around then, a couple of events happened that I don't want to go into all the details of right now, but a couple of events happened that culminated in the beginning of a long, deep depression, the longest and deepest depression of my personal lifetime. I went from hero to zero really, really fast. I got rejected by a girl, and then I lost my job. And then I started twitching, and then just everything sucked except my songwriting for like 3 years. Nothing was shaken. And most days I just couldn't find the energy to get up out of bed. I hated myself. I felt like, though I'd had so many successes, I felt like this one failure just turned all of that gray. And that was the end of the old me. So that was, I said May 2017 was the beginning of his downfall. So for just about 2 years, I was the old me. And now it's been longer since I was the old me than the time I was the old me. But still, I'm here looking back going, what was it about that guy? Why am I thinking about that guy? He was good. He was good at what he was doing. Everything he touched, he was good at. And I know, well, I kept wondering for the course of the last 3 years since then, is he still there? Where is he? What happened to him? I know what happened to him I know the experiences he went through, but he is gone, it seems. At least a couple of the major things about him do not seem to be a part of this guy. The old me had like this work ethic. He had worked for my dad for 5 years and worked to save up to go to college just to get, he just saved up enough to get through the first 2 years at community college. And he did well enough there that he could have got a scholarship, but then everything failed. It was wild. He was just gone. That work ethic, he was just gone. He couldn't get to work on time all of a sudden for 3 years. He couldn't hold down a job for 3 years. So I've had to wonder, in those 3 years, is the old me dead? And the reason I'm here today, specifically today, because the old me has been a character I've recognized for a while, but I never really meditated on him as a concept deeply until today. Or the last couple of days. And I took a second to look at the old me and compare him to who I am today. Ignore all the time in between. Ignore the whole depression. Just look at that guy and look at this guy. This one. And I'm a slightly different person the last couple months, month or two, really. I'm still evolving away from that deeply depressed character. I'm finding little things. I'm finding happiness again. And, I don't want to die like I did for most of those 3 years. Like 2.5 years, I guess. I want to live and I want to do great things. And so I've been thinking about, what did that guy... Yeah, so here's... I had a big realization about these guys. And I realized they had something in common, or a few things in common. I mean, besides a physical body. What's important is, what they have in common is a set of values and a set of interests and some favorite things. So recently I've been reaching back into a few of my favorite things that I've neglected for a long time. One is I am playing Pokemon for the first time in a long time. And another thing is, today, specifically the last 2 days, I started last night, I am rewatching, or watching rather, the entire 2020 season of the Formula E racing series. It's my favorite racing series. It's electric cars run by the same umbrella organization that runs the Formula One series. And I've been a fan of the series for a couple of years, but I missed a lot of the races this year because about a year ago, because I was in the hospital for a lot of the season. So I didn't get to catch those races. So now I'm going back and watching all the races. Instead of binging Netflix, this is what I do. I watch a season championship play out of one of my favorite racing series. And what's interesting is that actually the reason I first reached out to learn more about Formula E I mean, of course, I saw the crash that happened in the first race they ever hosted. Go look that up. Formula E first race crash. Everybody's okay. So I heard about it there, so that kind of planted the seed, I think. But one of those values that I've recognized the old me and the current me, and really the guy in between has held this value forever too, is I'm an environmentalist. I switched to engineering because I was an environmentalist. I wanted to help solve these problems. And I became a fan of electric car racing because I was an environmentalist and I thought those guys were on a path towards solving that problem that was also fun, competitive, and creates a culture, a worldwide culture. They race in countries on every continent. They race in New York City. No other racing series can race there because the electric cars are so much quieter than combustion. And watching this racing, when I'm watching a NASCAR race, I feel kind of guilty because there's a bunch of oil sponsors. But when I'm watching Formula E and it's a bunch of electric car manufacturers and battery companies and stuff like that racing, I don't feel any guilt. I feel like we're advancing humanity while we're also putting on a good show. Racing, entertainment. I love it. So Formula E is really like connected to a lot of my principles that made the old me do the things he did so successfully. And so what I've realized is that those values and principles are still there. They're still in me. I was just distracted for a long time. So, and I think it's those values and those principles that made the old me the old me. And so I think the fact that those remain untouched within the modern version of me points to the fact that the concept of the old me must be a bunch of poppycock. So, I guess just get to wake up and be a new me tomorrow, and another one the next day, and another one the next day. Unless I pull an all-nighter. Hang on, I think it's time for more coffee. time is marching on. And someday, right now me will be the new old me. The new old me, the band. So, I don't know. I think I'm just allowed to do whatever the hell I want to do. And if I do the things that those principles would allow me to do, then I'll keep inching closer to the guy that I want to become. And that's another realization that I had about the old me, is that much like Leonardo da Vinci, he didn't finish the job. He didn't finish the job. He got 2 years of straight A's. He got a couple of cool jobs, but couldn't hold him down because he was too sad. So he had some great successes, and yet he didn't finish the job. The job was get the degree. The job was do something that you like and get paid for it and change the world. He was on the way there, but that's a journey you never reach the end of. Just like that pursuit of happiness. You never actually achieve and can say, like, this is the ultimate of success. Ultimate of success. There's manifold levels of it. And the old me, he was like a Charmeleon, maybe. Like a level 26 Charmeleon. It knows Ember and Slash, so, if it's in the right matchup, it can totally ruin your day. But, when you compare it to a Charizard, it's got a lot of room to grow. So, what I think is, I am discovering happiness again pretty recently, and I like it. But I'm still like, well, okay, here we go. I feel like I de-evolved. I went down to level 0 and had to start over. But right now, I feel like a kick-ass Charmeleon. So thank you all so much for listening and being my patrons, because my levels for my Patreon account are Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, Shiny Charizard. And your patronage will help me to become that level 100 Charizard that I eventually want to become. And you got to become a level 36 Charizard before you can do that. So that's my goal right now. Charmeleon evolves at level 36. So I've got a couple levels to get. And by being my patrons, you guys are helping me get those levels. an extra book for, super potions and ultra balls. Actually, I like dusk balls better, especially since my birthday is on Halloween. But anyway, now I've been here for half an hour, and I think I've gotten about as far in conversation as I grok so far. And, I had a bunch of stuff done today, so I'm going to go play some Pokemon, and I don't know, maybe listen to some music, and maybe I did some meditation today. Pretty brief, like 5 minutes, but hey, for like 3 years, I couldn't meditate at all without twitching, so yes. All right, I come a long way, but I got a long way to go. I'll be back real soon. I know I owe you guys some content. I'm behind on the content. I blame the old me. All right, before I get myself in trouble, thank you so much for watching. Y'all know me. I'm Brandon Postman. And if you see me biting my nails, you yell at me. Llamas forever. Good night and take care. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Take care.